Do you want to successfully complete the D072 Objective Assessment exam? Then you're in the right place. Our website provides a list of questions and answers for your success in the D072 OA exam for free. We understand that acing your OA exam can be quite challenging. That's why we provide completely free exam guides and practice questions for you. In this video, we will cover questions from ethical conflicts, workplace pressure, communication styles, emotional intelligence, leadership theory. So let's get started. 1. A clothing company operates factories in countries with minimal safety regulations, where worker injuries are common but no laws are violated. Which type of ethical conflict does this scenario best represent for business ethics students to analyse? A. Illegal and unethical behaviour. B. Legal and ethical behaviour. C. Legal but unethical behaviour. D. Illegal but ethical behaviour. Do you know the answer? Correct answer, C. Legal but unethical behaviour. Explanation. Option C is correct because the company follows local laws but ignores dangerous work conditions, which represents a legal but unethical conflict where compliance does not equal moral responsibility. Option A is incorrect because the scenario explicitly states that no laws are being violated, meaning the behaviour is legal even though workers are being harmed. Option B is incorrect because while the behaviour may be legal under local regulations, allowing preventable worker injuries is not considered ethical conduct in business. Option D is incorrect because the company is operating within the law, not breaking it, so the behaviour cannot be classified as illegal, even if morally questionable. Alright, let's tackle a classic business ethics scenario that trips up a lot of students. A clothing company runs factories in countries with weak safety regulations. Workers get injured regularly, but the company isn't breaking any laws. So what kind of ethical conflict is this? The answer is legal but unethical behaviour. Here's the thing. Just because something is legal doesn't make it right. The company is technically compliant with local laws, but they're knowingly operating facilities where workers get hurt. That's a moral failure, even without a legal violation. Option A, illegal and unethical, is wrong because the scenario explicitly says no laws are violated. Option B, legal and ethical, misses the point entirely. Preventable injuries aren't ethical just because a government hasn't banned them. Option D, illegal but ethical, flips the situation backwards since the company is operating within the law. Here's a WGU D072 OA exam tip for you. When you see a question where a company follows the law but causes harm, that's your signal for legal but unethical. Quick recall hook. Legal doesn't mean loyal to ethics. Compliance and conscience are different things. 2. A government employee leaks classified documents to journalists because they believe the public deserves to know about secret military operations that caused civilian deaths. What ethical conflict category best describes this whistleblower situation? A. Illegal but ethical behaviour. B. Legal but unethical behaviour. C. Legal and ethical behaviour. D. Illegal and unethical behaviour. Do you know the answer? Correct answer, A. Illegal but ethical behaviour. Explanation. Option A is correct because the employee breaks confidentiality laws to expose wrongdoing, representing an illegal but ethical conflict where personal conscience overrides legal obligations. Option B is incorrect because leaking classified government documents is clearly against the law, not a legal action, even when motivated by moral duty. Option C is incorrect because sharing classified information violates federal laws regardless of the ethical motivation behind the disclosure of military misconduct. Option D is incorrect because the whistleblower acts from moral conviction to expose harm to civilians, which many would consider an ethical motivation despite illegality. This question deals with whistleblowing and it's a great example of when laws and ethics pull in opposite directions. A government employee leaks classified documents to journalists because they believe the public should know about military operations that killed civilians. This is illegal but ethical behaviour. The employee broke confidentiality laws. That's not debatable. Leaking classified documents is a crime, but the motivation was moral, exposing harm to innocent people. Many would argue that protecting civilian lives outweighs legal obligations to secrecy. Option B is wrong because leaking classified information is clearly illegal, not legal. Option C fails for the same reason. Federal law prohibits sharing classified materials regardless of your intentions. Option D misreads the situation because the whistleblower acted from conscience, not malice. Here's a WGU D072 OA exam tip for you. When someone breaks the law to expose wrongdoing or protect others from harm, think illegal but ethical. Quick recall hook. Whistleblower = wrong law, right reason. 3. A pharmaceutical company prices a life-saving medication at extremely high rates, making it unaffordable for many patients who need it, yet violates no pricing laws. How should a business ethics analyst categorize this company's pricing strategy? A. Illegal and unethical conduct. B. Legal and ethical conduct. C. Illegal but ethical conduct. D. Legal but unethical conduct. Do you know the answer? Correct answer, D. Legal but unethical conduct. Explanation. Option D is correct because charging prices that deny patients access to life-saving medication is morally questionable, even when no laws restrict pharmaceutical pricing practices. Option A is incorrect because the scenario explicitly states that the company violates no pricing laws, making the conduct legal regardless of its ethical implications. Option B is incorrect because denying patients access to necessary medication through excessive pricing fails most ethical standards of corporate social responsibility and fairness. Option C is incorrect because the company operates within legal boundaries on pricing, so the behaviour cannot be classified as illegal, even though it harms patients. Let's look at another legal but unethical scenario, this time in healthcare. A pharmaceutical company prices a life-saving medication so high that many patients who need it simply cannot afford it. No pricing laws are violated. This is legal but unethical conduct. The company operates within legal boundaries. There's no price ceiling law they're breaking, but denying patients access to medication they need to survive. That fails basic ethical standards of fairness and corporate responsibility. Option A doesn't work because the scenario specifically states no pricing laws are violated. Option B tries to call this ethical, which ignores the real-world harm of people dying because they can't afford treatment. Option C claims the behaviour is illegal, but again, the scenario says it's within legal limits. Here's a WGU D072 OA exam tip for you. Pharmaceutical pricing questions almost always test the legal but unethical category. If patients are harmed but no law is broken, you know where to land. Quick recall hook. Price gouging patients =. Legal compliance, ethical failure. 4. An organisation implements a policy requiring employees to report conflicts of interest, even when such reporting might disadvantage them personally. Which fundamental principle of ethical behaviour does this policy most directly reinforce in the workplace? A. Maximising personal benefit. B. Prioritising organisational interests over personal gain. C. Maintaining competitive advantages. D. Protecting individual privacy rights. Do you know the answer? Correct answer, B. Prioritising organisational interests over personal gain. Explanation. Option B is correct because ethical behaviour in business means declining to put personal interests above those of the company, its owners and workers through honest disclosure Option A is incorrect because ethical conduct requires considering the impact of actions on others, not simply maximizing personal benefit, which can create conflicts. Option C is incorrect because maintaining competitive advantages is a business strategy, not a fundamental ethical principle guiding employee behavior and reporting practices. Option D is incorrect because requiring disclosure of conflicts actually reduces privacy in favor of transparency, which supports organizational rather than individual interests. Now we're moving into workplace ethics policies. An organization requires employees to report conflicts of interest, even when doing so might hurt them personally. What principle does this reinforce? The answer is prioritizing organizational interests over personal gain. Ethical behavior in business means you don't put your own interests above the company, its owners, or your co-workers. This policy makes that expectation concrete through mandatory disclosure. Option A, maximizing personal benefit, is actually what the policy works against. The whole point is that employees must report even when it disadvantages them. Option C, maintaining competitive advantages, is a business strategy, not an ethical principle guiding personal conduct. Option D, protecting individual privacy, gets it backwards. The policy actually reduces privacy in favour of transparency. Here's a WGU D072 OA exam tip for you. Conflict of interest policies always point toward organisational interests over personal gain. When you see disclosure requirements, that's your answer. Quick recall hook: disclose =sign organisation over self. 5. Laws often emerge when societal ethics have been systematically violated by groups within the population over extended periods of time. What does this relationship between law and ethics suggest about the primary purpose of legal frameworks? A. Laws codify ethical standards when voluntary compliance fails. B. Laws replace personal ethics entirely. C. Laws are more important than ethics. D. Laws and ethics are unrelated concepts. Can you guess the answer? Correct answer. A. Laws codify ethical standards when voluntary compliance fails. Explanation. Option A is correct, because laws are sometimes written specifically to require individuals to live up to certain ethical standards when voluntary ethical behaviour proves insufficient. Option B is incorrect because personal ethics continue to fill voids that laws leave behind, meaning laws supplement rather than completely replace individual moral judgment. Option C is incorrect because the relationship suggests laws and ethics work together, with ethics sometimes being more comprehensive than what laws can fully address. Option D is incorrect because the fact that laws emerge from ethical violations demonstrates a clear and important relationship between legal and ethical frameworks. Two candidates have identical qualifications, but one demonstrates values matching the company's culture of collaboration and transparency. Why do businesses assess value alignment during hiring? To identify the best fit for positions and teams. Companies use values assessment to determine whether candidates' value systems match what the position and team need. It's about cultural fit, not cutting costs or meeting regulations. Option A says it's about reducing training costs, but that's a secondary benefit at best. Value alignment is about fit, not budget. Option C suggests compliance with employment regulations, but assessing values is voluntary. No law requires it. Option D claims it simplifies interviews, but evaluating values actually makes interviews more complex by requiring deeper assessment. Here's a WGU D072 OA exam tip for you. Value alignment in hiring questions always point to best fit. Companies want employees whose values match the team and role. Quick recall hook. Values match =, best fit for the team. 6. A manager notices that sales representatives sometimes exaggerate product capabilities to meet aggressive quarterly targets set by executive leadership. According to research on organizational ethics, what factor most commonly causes employees to compromise their ethical standards? A. Lack of personal values. B. Insufficient training programs. C. Poor communication channels. D. Pressure to meet unrealistic business objectives. Do you know the answer? Correct answer. D. Pressure to meet unrealistic business objectives. Explanation. Option D is correct because research from the National Business Ethics Survey found that 70% of employees identified pressure to meet unrealistic objectives as the factor most likely to compromise ethics. Option A is incorrect because most employees have personal values but may compromise them when organisational pressures create dire personal consequences for failing to meet targets. Option B is incorrect because while training helps, the research specifically identified unrealistic objectives rather than training gaps as the primary driver of ethical compromise. Option C is incorrect because communication issues, while problematic, were not identified as the primary factor causing employees to abandon their ethical standards under pressure. Here's a scenario you'll definitely see on the exam. Sales reps are exaggerating product capabilities to hit aggressive quarterly targets. What causes employees to compromise their ethics? The answer is pressure to meet unrealistic business objectives. This isn't speculation. The National Business Ethics Survey found that 70% of employees identified unrealistic objectives as the top factor leading them to compromise their ethics. Option A blames lack of personal values, but most employees have values. They compromise them when the pressure becomes unbearable. Option B points to insufficient training, but the research specifically fingered unrealistic targets, not training gaps. Option C suggests poor communication, which wasn't identified as the primary driver in the research. Here's a WGU D072 OA exam tip for you. Whenever you see employees behaving unethically to hit targets, the answer is unrealistic objectives. Remember that 70% statistic. Quick recall hook. Pressure cooker =, ethical compromise. Unrealistic targets break ethics. 7. Employees at a company observe whether executives share credit for successes, treat lower-level workers with dignity, and hold themselves accountable during crises. What does this employee observation behaviour indicate about how organisational ethics are established? A. Ethics are determined by written policies. B. Ethics emerge from employee consensus. C. Ethics start at the top and trickle down. D. Ethics develop independently at each level. Can you guess the answer? Correct answer. C. Ethics start at the top and trickle down. Explanation. Option C is correct because research from the Ethics and Compliance Initiative suggests that the ethical tone of a business is set by organisational leadership whose behaviours employees closely watch. Option A is incorrect because while written policies matter, employees primarily learn ethical standards by observing how leaders actually behave rather than what documents state. Option B is incorrect because the research indicates that ethics flow downward from leadership rather than emerging from collective employee agreement or democratic processes. Option D is incorrect because the finding that employees watch executives specifically shows that ethics flow from top to bottom rather than developing independently at each level. Employees watch their executives closely. They notice whether leaders share credit, treat workers with dignity, and own their mistakes during crises. What does this behaviour tell us about organisational ethics? Ethics start at the top and trickle down. Research from the Ethics and Compliance Initiative confirms this. The ethical tone of a business is set by leadership. Employees learn what's actually acceptable by watching what executives do, not by reading policy manuals. Option A says ethics are determined by written policies, but employees pay more attention to behaviour than documents. Option B claims ethics emerge from employee consensus, but the research shows ethics flow downward from leaders, not upward from staff votes. Option D suggests ethics develop independently at each level, which contradicts the finding that employees specifically watch executives to gauge acceptable behaviour. Here's a WGU D072 OA exam tip for you. When a question describes employees observing leadership behaviour, the answer is always that ethics start at the top. Quick recall hook, tone at the top equals sign. Ethics trickle down. 8. A new employee discovers that their personal belief in environmental sustainability conflicts with their company's practice of using excessive packaging materials. What challenge does this situation represent for professionals navigating workplace ethics? A. Misalignment between personal and organisational values. B. Insufficient job training completion. C. Lack of technical competence. D. Poor time management skills. Can you guess the answer? Correct answer, A. Misalignment between personal and organisational values. Explanation. Option A is correct because one of the biggest ethical challenges in the workplace occurs when personal ethics do not align with those of the company where one works. Option B is incorrect because the conflict stems from fundamental value differences rather than inadequate training on company procedures or operational practices. Option C is incorrect because the employee understands the company practices but disagrees with them ethically, which is a values conflict rather than a competence issue. Option D is incorrect because time management has no relevance to the ethical dilemma of reconciling personal environmental beliefs with organisational packaging practices. A new employee believes in environmental sustainability, but their company uses excessive packaging materials. The employee's values clash with company practices. This represents misalignment between personal and organisational values. This is one of the biggest ethical challenges in the workplace. When your ethics don't match your employer's, it's not about lacking skills or needing more training. It's a fundamental values conflict. Option B blames insufficient training, but knowing how to do the job isn't the problem here. The employee understands the practices. They disagree with them morally. Option C suggests technical incompetence, which has nothing to do with a values dispute. Option D throws in time management, which is completely irrelevant to reconciling personal beliefs with organisational practices. Here's a WGU D072 OA exam tip for you. When an employee's personal beliefs conflict with company practices, you're looking at value misalignment, not training, not skills, not time management. Quick recall hook, my values versus company practices equal sign misalignment. 9. A hiring manager interviews two candidates with identical qualifications, but notices one candidate demonstrates values that closely match the organisation's culture of collaboration and transparency. Why do businesses assess value alignment during recruitment processes? A. To reduce training costs significantly. B. To identify the best fit for positions and teams. C. To comply with employment regulations. D. To simplify interview procedures. Can you guess the answer? Correct answer, B. To identify the best fit for positions and teams. Explanation. Option B is correct because businesses use values to identify the best fit for employees and determine whether candidates' value systems match the position's requirements and expectations. Option A is incorrect because value alignment assessment primarily serves cultural fit purposes rather than being a cost reduction strategy for training programs. Option C is incorrect because assessing value alignment is a voluntary practice for cultural fit, not a requirement mandated by employment laws or regulations. Option D is incorrect because evaluating values actually adds complexity to interviews rather than simplifying them, requiring deeper assessment of candidate characteristics. Two candidates have identical qualifications, but one demonstrates values matching the company's culture of collaboration and transparency. Why do businesses assess value alignment during hiring? To identify the best fit for positions and teams. Companies use values assessment to determine whether candidates' value systems match what the position and team need. It's about cultural fit, not cutting costs or meeting regulations. Option A says it's about reducing training costs, but that's a secondary benefit at best. Value alignment is about fit, not budget. Option C suggests compliance with employment regulations, but assessing values is voluntary. No law requires it. Option D claims it simplifies interviews, but evaluating values actually makes interviews more complex by requiring deeper assessment. Here's a WGU D072 OA exam tip for you. Value alignment in hiring questions always point to best fit. Companies want employees whose values match the team and role. Quick recall hook. Values match =, best fit for the team. 10. An employee frequently takes credit for a colleague's ideas during team meetings and spreads rumours about other department members through informal conversations. At which level of organisational ethics does this problematic behaviour primarily occur? A. Societal issues level. B. Stakeholder issues level. C. Internal policy level. D. Personal issues level. What do you think is the answer? Correct answer, D. Personal issues level. Explanation. Option D is correct because personal issues concern how people treat others in their organisation, including behaviours like gossiping at work or taking credit for another person's work. Option A is incorrect because societal issues relate to concerns affecting the world as a whole, not interpersonal workplace behaviours between individual colleagues. Option B is incorrect because stakeholder issues concern policies affecting customers, suppliers, and community members rather than internal employee-to-employee treatment. Option C is incorrect because internal policy issues address formal relationships between a company and its employees regarding pay and management fairness, not personal conduct. An employee takes credit for colleagues' ideas and spreads rumours about co-workers. At which level of organisational ethics does this occur? The personal issues level. Personal issues concern how people treat others in their organisation. Taking credit for someone else's work and gossiping are textbook examples of personal ethical failures. Option A mentions societal issues, but those relate to concerns affecting the world as a whole, not interpersonal office drama. Option B points to stakeholder issues which deal with customers, suppliers, and community members, not how co-workers treat each other. Option C suggests internal policy issues which address formal relationships like pay fairness and management practices, not individual misconduct like rumour spreading. Here's a WGU D072 OA exam tip for you. Gossip, credit stealing, and co-worker mistreatment all fall under personal issues level. Think person-to-person behaviour. Quick recall hook. Co-worker conflicts =, personal level ethics. 11. During a project meeting, a team member consistently agrees with every suggestion made by others, apologises frequently even when not at fault, and avoids sharing personal opinions on important decisions. Which communication style does this team member primarily demonstrate? A. Passive communication style. B. Aggressive communication style. C. Assertive communication style. D. Passive-aggressive communication style. Do you know the answer? Correct answer. A. Passive communication style. Explanation. Option A is correct because passive communicators tend to be hesitant to speak about their thoughts and beliefs, put others' rights before their own, and sound apologetic when speaking. Option B is incorrect because aggressive communicators stand up for their rights while potentially violating others' rights, which is opposite to the agreeable, apologetic behaviour described. Option C is incorrect because assertive communicators respect their own rights and others' rights equally, directly sharing opinions rather than consistently deferring to everyone else. Option D is incorrect because passive-aggressive communicators appear agreeable but later act with hostility, while this scenario describes consistently avoidant behaviour without hidden aggression. A team member agrees with everyone, apologises constantly even when they have done nothing wrong, and never shares their own opinions. What communication style is this? Passive communication. Passive communicators hesitate to speak about their thoughts, put others' rights before their own, and sound apologetic when they do speak. They avoid conflict by disappearing into the background. Option B, aggressive communication, is the opposite. Aggressive communicators dominate and dismiss others. Option C, assertive communication, involves balanced, direct sharing of opinions while respecting others. Option D, passive-aggressive, describes people who seem agreeable but act with hidden hostility later. This person isn't being secretly hostile, they're just avoiding any assertion at all. Here's a WGU D072 OA exam tip for you. Look for keywords like apologetic, hesitant, agrees with everyone, and avoids sharing opinions. Those all point to passive communication. Quick recall hook. Always sorry, never speaks up =, passive. 12. A supervisor criticises team members harshly in public meetings, frequently interrupts others while speaking, and insists their perspective is always correct without considering alternative viewpoints. Which communication style best characterises this supervisor's approach? A. Passive communication style. B. Passive-aggressive communication style. C. Aggressive communication style. D. Assertive communication style. Do you know the answer? Correct answer, C. Aggressive communication style. Explanation. Option C is correct because aggressive communicators stand up for their rights while violating others' rights, communicate dismissively, claim they are always right, and suggest others' feelings do not matter. Option A is incorrect because passive communicators avoid confrontation and put others' needs first, which is completely opposite to the harsh, dominating behaviour described in this scenario. Option B is incorrect because passive-aggressive communicators appear agreeable on the surface before acting hostilely later, rather than being openly confrontational during meetings. Option D is incorrect because assertive communicators respect both their own and others' rights, using direct but non-offensive communication, rather than public criticism and interruption. A supervisor criticises team members harshly in public, interrupts constantly, and insists they're always right. What communication style is this? Aggressive communication. Aggressive communicators stand up for their rights while violating others' rights. They communicate dismissively, claim they're always correct, and signal that others' feelings don't matter. Option A, passive, is the opposite. Passive communicators avoid confrontation and defer to others. Option B, passive-aggressive, describes people who seem agreeable on the surface but act hostile behind the scenes. This supervisor is openly hostile, not secretly so. Option D, assertive, involves respecting both your rights and others' rights. Public criticism and constant interruption don't respect anyone else. Here's a WGU D072 OA exam tip for you. Public criticism, interrupting, and always right are classic aggressive markers. If someone's trampling others' rights openly, it's aggressive. Quick recall hook. My way, your rights don't matter =, aggressive. 13. An employee openly expresses their opinion during discussions, asks colleagues what they think about the topic, and maintains relaxed body language while communicating. This employee respects both their own views and those of others. Which communication style is being demonstrated? A. Passive communication style. B. Assertive communication style. C. Aggressive communication style. D. Passive-aggressive communication style. What do you think is the answer? Correct answer, B. Assertive communication style. Explanation. Option B is correct because assertive communicators respect their own rights and others' rights, share opinions directly, but ask what others think, and maintain relaxed posture and movements. Option A is incorrect because passive communicators hesitate to share their thoughts and put others' needs above their own rather than expressing opinions openly. Option C is incorrect because aggressive communicators dismiss others' perspectives and do not genuinely inquire about colleagues' viewpoints after sharing their own opinions. Option D is incorrect because passive-aggressive communicators may appear agreeable but act manipulatively later, rather than engaging in open, balanced dialogue with colleagues. An employee openly expresses opinions, asks what colleagues think, maintains relaxed body language, and respects both their own views and others. What style is this? Assertive communication. Assertive communicators respect their own rights and others' rights equally. They share opinions directly, but also genuinely want to hear from others. Their body language is relaxed, not tense or aggressive. Option A, passive, doesn't fit because passive communicators hesitate to share their thoughts and defer to everyone else. Option C, aggressive, is wrong because aggressive communicators dismiss others and don't genuinely care what colleagues think. Option D, passive-aggressive, describes hidden hostility masked by false agreeableness, not open, balanced dialogue. Here's a WGU D072 OA exam tip for you. Look for the balance, shares opinions and asks others, relaxed body language, respects both sides. That's assertive every time. Quick recall hook. My rights plus your rights = assertive. 14. During a conversation, a colleague appears to be listening, but is actually preparing their response to an earlier point, rather than considering what the speaker is currently saying. What term best describes this ineffective listening behaviour? A. Active listening practice. B. Supportive communication technique. C. Reflective listening approach. D. Rehearsing behaviour. What do you think is the answer? Correct answer, D. Rehearsing behaviour. Explanation. Option D is correct because rehearsing describes when a receiver has no intention of considering the sender's message and is actually preparing to respond to an earlier point instead. Option A is incorrect because active listening requires giving full attention to what people are saying and taking time to understand points being made, not mental response preparation. Option B is incorrect because supportive communication involves engaging thoughtfully with the speaker's message, rather than mentally preparing counter-arguments during the conversation. Option C is incorrect because reflective listening involves responding to demonstrate understanding of what was heard, not ignoring current statements while planning previous rebuttals. A colleague appears to be listening but is actually preparing their response to something said earlier instead of considering what's being said now. What's this called? Rehearsing behaviour. Rehearsing is when a receiver has no intention of actually considering the speaker's current message. They're mentally preparing their comeback to an earlier point. Option A, active listening, requires giving full attention to what people are saying and taking time to understand their points. Rehearsing is the opposite. Option B, supportive communication, involves thoughtful engagement with the speaker's message, not mental counter-argument preparation. Option C, reflective listening, means responding to show you understood what was said, not ignoring current statements while planning rebuttals. Here's a WGU D072 OA exam tip for you. When someone looks like they're listening but is mentally preparing their response, that's rehearsing. It's a common listening barrier. Quick recall hook. Looks like listening, planning, response = rehearsing. 15. A manager needs to address an employee's repeated tardiness while maintaining their positive working relationship and avoiding personal attacks on the employee's character. Which supportive communication principle should the manager prioritise? A. Being problem-oriented rather than person-oriented. B. Using evaluative rather than descriptive language. C. Making statements disowned rather than owned. D. Communicating in a disjunctive rather than conjunctive manner. Can you guess the answer? Correct answer, A. Being problem-oriented rather than person-oriented. Explanation? Option A is correct, because supportive communication requires focusing on the issue at hand rather than commenting on the person's characteristics, which preserves positive relationships during correction. Option B is incorrect because supportive communication actually requires descriptive language that is objective rather than evaluative language that passes judgment on situations. Option C is incorrect because supportive communication requires owned statements where individuals take responsibility for their words using first-person language, like I statements. Option D is incorrect because supportive communication should be conjunctive, referring to previous statements to carry interaction forward, rather than disjunctive and disconnected from context. A manager needs to address an employee's tardiness while maintaining a good working relationship and avoiding personal attacks. Which supportive communication principle applies? Being problem-oriented rather than person-oriented. Supportive communication focuses on the issue at hand, the tardiness, without attacking the person's character. This preserves the relationship while still addressing the behaviour. Option B suggests evaluative language, but supportive communication actually requires descriptive, objective language instead of passing judgment. Option C mentions disowned statements, but supportive communication requires owned statements using I language, where you take responsibility for your words. Option D suggests disjunctive communication, but supportive communication should be conjunctive, referring to previous statements to carry the conversation forward, not disconnecting from context. Here's a WGU D072 OA exam tip for you. When correcting behaviour while maintaining relationships, think problem-oriented. Attack the problem, not the person. Quick recall hook. Fix the problem, not the person. 16. An employee recognises when they are becoming frustrated during a difficult project and takes a short break to calm down before responding to colleagues. Which component of emotional intelligence does this self-regulation behaviour primarily demonstrate? A. Social awareness competency. B. Relationship management ability. C. Self-management capability. D. External locus of control. What do you think is the answer? Correct answer, C. Self-management capability. Explanation. Option C is correct because self-management enables individuals to channel their emotions in a positive way when needed, such as taking breaks to regulate frustration before responding. Option A is incorrect because social awareness refers to the ability to empathise and understand how others feel, not managing one's own emotional responses to situations. Option B is incorrect because relationship management involves assisting others in managing their emotions and establishing supportive relationships, not regulating personal frustration levels. Option D is incorrect because locus of control relates to beliefs about whether circumstances are within one's control, not the active regulation of emotional responses. An employee recognises when they're getting frustrated during a difficult project and takes a short break to calm down before responding to colleagues. What emotional intelligence component is this? Self-management capability. Self-management lets you channel your emotions in a positive direction when needed. Recognizing frustration and taking a break to regulate it before responding is textbook self-management. Option A, social awareness, is about understanding how others feel, not managing your own emotions. Option B, relationship management, involves helping others manage their emotions and building supportive relationships, not regulating your personal frustration. Option D, external locus of control, relates to beliefs about whether events are within your control. It's not about actively regulating emotions. Here's a WGU D072 OA exam tip for you. When someone recognises their own emotion and takes action to regulate it, that's self-management. They're managing themselves, not others. Quick recall hook. Feel it, control it, = self-management. 17. A team leader notices subtle facial expressions and body language changes among team members during a meeting and accurately interprets that morale has decreased following recent organizational changes. Which emotional intelligence building block is the leader applying? A. Self-awareness skills. B. Social awareness skills. C. Self-management skills. D. Technical intelligence skills. Do you know the answer? Correct answer, B. Social awareness skills. Explanation. Option B is correct because social awareness refers to the ability to empathize and understand how others feel, including reading nonverbal cues to interpret team members' emotional states. Option A is incorrect because self-awareness involves accurately perceiving and assessing one's own emotions, not interpreting the feelings and emotional states of other people. Option C is incorrect because self-management involves channeling one's own emotions positively, not reading and interpreting the emotional signals of team members during meetings. Option D is incorrect because technical intelligence relates to cognitive abilities and job-specific knowledge, not the emotional perception and empathy skills being demonstrated here. A team leader notices subtle facial expressions and body language changes among team members and accurately interprets that morale has dropped after organizational changes. Which emotional intelligence building block is this? Social awareness skills. Social awareness is the ability to empathize and understand how others feel. Reading nonverbal cues to interpret team members' emotional states is exactly what social awareness looks like in action. Option A, self-awareness, involves perceiving and assessing your own emotions, not reading others. Option C, self-management, is about channeling your own emotions positively, not interpreting team members' feelings. Option D, technical intelligence, relates to cognitive abilities and job-specific knowledge, not emotional perception skills. Here's a WGU D072 OA exam tip for you. When someone reads others' emotions through body language, facial expressions, or tone, that's social awareness. It's outward-focused empathy. Quick recall hook. Reading others =sign social awareness. 18. Research studies have found that emotional quotient scores correlate more strongly with career success and salary levels than traditional intelligence quotient measurements. What does this finding suggest about the value of emotional intelligence in professional settings? A. IQ is no longer relevant. B. Technical skills are unnecessary. C. Education has no workplace value. D. EQ is a better predictor of work success. Do you know the answer? Correct answer, D. EQ is a better predictor of work success. Explanation. Option D is correct because research has shown that high EQ is a better indicator of personal and work success than high IQ, with studies finding 90% of top performers have high EQ. Option A is incorrect because leaders still need high IQ, along with high EI for effectiveness, meaning traditional intelligence remains relevant even if EQ shows stronger success correlation. Option B is incorrect because technical skills remain important for job performance, though emotional intelligence may better predict overall career advancement and leadership effectiveness. Option C is incorrect because education contributes to knowledge and skills development, even though emotional intelligence may be more predictive of professional success outcomes. Research shows that emotional quotient scores correlate more strongly with career success and salary levels than traditional IQ measurements. 90% of top performers have high EQ. What does this suggest? EQ is a better predictor of work success. The research is clear. Emotional intelligence predicts career advancement and professional success better than raw cognitive ability. Option A claims IQ is no longer relevant, which goes too far. Leaders still need high IQ along with high EI. Option B says technical skills are unnecessary, but that's wrong too. You still need job-specific competencies. Option C suggests education has no workplace value, which ignores that education builds knowledge and skills even if EQ predicts success better. Here's a WGU D072 OA exam tip for you. When a question cites research linking EQ to success, the answer is that EQ predicts work success better than IQ. Remember the 90% statistic? Quick recall hook: EQ beats IQ for success. 19. A senior manager wants to develop emotional intelligence skills throughout their department by demonstrating high emotional intelligence behaviours in daily interactions and being transparent about areas where they are working to improve. What strategy is this manager using? A. Role modelling emotional intelligence practices. B. Implementing formal punishment systems. C. Avoiding emotional discussions completely. D. Delegating all emotional intelligence training externally. Do you know the answer? Correct answer: A. Role modelling emotional intelligence practices. Explanation: Option A is correct because leaders' actions have far greater impact than their words, and modelling emotional intelligence practices in daily activities while being transparent about improvement areas is key. Option B is incorrect because supporting emotional intelligence development requires positive reinforcement and coaching rather than punishment systems that would create fear and reduce emotional openness. Option C is incorrect because developing organisational emotional intelligence requires openly discussing emotions and encouraging team members to share feelings, not avoiding emotional conversations entirely. Option D is incorrect because while external training can help, the manager's personal role modelling in daily interactions is described as having the greatest impact on team development. A senior manager wants to develop emotional intelligence skills in their department by demonstrating high EI behaviours daily and being transparent about areas they're working to improve. What strategy is this? Role modelling EI practices. Leaders' actions have far greater impact than their words. Modelling EI practices in daily activities while openly discussing your own improvement journey is the most effective way to build EI across a team. Option B mentions formal punishment systems, but developing EI requires positive reinforcement and coaching. Punishment creates fear and shuts down emotional openness. Option C suggests avoiding emotional discussions, but building organisational EI requires talking about emotions, not avoiding them. Option D says to delegate EI training externally, but while external training can help, the manager's personal example in daily interactions makes the biggest difference. Here's a WGU D072 OA exam tip for you. When a leader demonstrates EI behaviours and discusses their own growth, that's role modelling. Leaders teach through action. Quick recall hook: show it, don't just say it, role modelling. 20. Before responding to a colleague's critical feedback about their project proposal, an employee pauses to accurately assess their own defensive emotional reaction and acknowledges feeling somewhat hurt by the comments. Which EI component is this employee demonstrating? A. Relationship management ability. B. Social awareness capacity. C. Self-awareness competency. D. External motivation drive. Do you know the answer? Correct answer: C. Self-awareness competency. Explanation: option C is correct because self-awareness is the ability to accurately perceive, assess, and exhibit appropriate emotions, including recognizing one's own defensive reactions to criticism. Option A is incorrect because relationship management involves helping others manage their emotions and building supportive relationships, not recognizing one's own emotional reactions to feedback. Option B is incorrect because social awareness focuses on understanding how others feel and empathizing with them, not assessing one's own internal emotional responses to situations. Option D is incorrect because external motivation relates to extrinsic rewards and incentives, not the internal process of recognizing and acknowledging one's own emotional reactions. Before responding to critical feedback about their project, an employee pauses to accurately assess their defensive emotional reaction and acknowledges feeling hurt by the comments. Which EI component is this? Self-awareness competency. Self-awareness is the ability to accurately perceive, assess, and exhibit appropriate emotions. This employee recognized their defensive reaction and acknowledged feeling hurt. That's understanding your own emotional state before acting on it. Option A, relationship management, involves helping others manage their emotions, not recognizing your own reactions. Option B, social awareness, focuses on understanding how others feel, not assessing your internal responses. Option D, external motivation, relates to extrinsic rewards, not the internal process of recognizing your emotions. Here's a WGU D072 OA exam tip for you. When someone pauses to recognize and assess their own emotional reaction, that's self-awareness. It's the inward look before the outward action. Quick recall hook, know your own feelings =, self-awareness. 21. A manager closely supervises every task, makes all decisions without team input, and expects employees to follow specific instructions without deviation. This approach produces high short-term productivity, but creates tension over time. Which leadership style does this manager demonstrate? A, laissez-faire leadership style. B, participative leadership style. C, transformational leadership approach. D, autocratic leadership style. What do you think is the answer? Correct answer, D, autocratic leadership style. Explanation. Option D is correct because autocratic leaders closely direct and supervise, make decisions without meaningful input, and create high productivity short-term, but tension as a long-term approach. Option A is incorrect because laissez-faire leadership involves a hands-off approach, delegating decisions to the group, which is the opposite of closely supervising every task and decision. Option B is incorrect because participative leadership engages team members in decision-making, unlike the manager who makes all decisions without team input. Option C is incorrect because transformational leadership inspires and empowers employees to share the leader's vision rather than demanding strict compliance with specific instructions. Let's talk about leadership styles, starting with the most controlling approach. A manager closely supervises every task, makes all decisions without team input, and expects employees to follow instructions exactly. Short-term productivity is high, but tension builds over time. This is autocratic leadership. Autocratic leaders direct and supervise closely. They make decisions unilaterally and tell people what to do. It works for quick results, but employees eventually resent the lack of autonomy. Option A, laissez-faire, is the exact opposite. Those leaders are hands-off and delegate decisions to the group. Option B, participative, involves getting team input before making decisions, which this manager clearly doesn't do. Option C, transformational, focuses on inspiring employees to share a vision rather than demanding strict compliance. Here's a WGU D072 OA exam tip for you. Close supervision plus no input plus strict compliance =, autocratic. If a leader makes all decisions alone, that's your answer. Quick recall hook. My way or the highway =, autocratic. 22. A project leader involves team members in discussing strategic options, welcomes their perspectives on important decisions, and values relationship building, although the leader retains final decision-making authority. What leadership style best describes this approach? A, participative leadership style. B, autocratic leadership style. C, laissez-faire leadership style. D, indifferent leadership approach. What do you think is the answer? Correct answer, A, participative leadership style. Explanation. Option A is correct because participative leaders engage team members in decision-making processes while ultimately retaining final say, promoting relationship building and team involvement. Option B is incorrect because autocratic leaders make decisions and determine policies without meaningful input from team members, unlike the inclusive approach described in this scenario. Option C is incorrect because laissez-faire leaders delegate decisions entirely to the group rather than retaining final decision-making authority, as described in this situation. Option D is incorrect because indifferent leadership involves distancing oneself from active responsibility, not actively engaging team members while maintaining ultimate authority. Now let's look at a more balanced approach. A project leader involves team members in discussing strategic options, welcomes their perspectives, and values relationship building. But here's the key: the leader retains final decision-making authority. This is participative leadership. Participative leaders engage their teams in decisions while keeping ultimate control. They want input, they build relationships, but the final call is theirs. Option B, autocratic, doesn't fit because autocratic leaders don't seek input at all. Option C, laissez-faire, goes too far the other way. Those leaders delegate decisions entirely to the group rather than retaining authority. Option D, indifferent leadership, describes someone who distances themselves from responsibility, not someone actively engaging the team. Here's a WGU D072 OA exam tip for you. Look for the combination of team input plus leader retains final say. That's participative every time. Quick recall hook: input welcome, final say mine, =, participative. 23. A creative agency director provides team members with necessary resources and tools, but otherwise empowers them to make their own decisions and work independently. This approach works well because the employees are highly skilled and self-motivated. Which leadership style is most appropriate here? A. Autocratic leadership approach. B. Laissez-faire leadership style. C. Controlling leadership approach. D. Status quo leadership style. What do you think is the answer? Correct answer: B. Laissez-faire leadership style. Explanation: Option B is correct because laissez-faire leaders delegate decisions to the group and provide tools and resources while empowering independent work, which succeeds with highly skilled, motivated employees. Option A is incorrect because autocratic leadership involves close supervision and unilateral decision-making, which would be inappropriate for highly skilled, self-motivated creative professionals. Option C is incorrect because controlling leadership directs and dominates by enforcing rules and not permitting deviation, which contradicts the empowerment approach described in this scenario. Option D is incorrect because status quo leadership focuses on balancing and compromising to maintain acceptability rather than empowering complete independence in decision-making processes. A creative agency director provides resources and tools to the team, but otherwise lets them work independently and make their own decisions. The team is highly skilled and self-motivated. This is laissez-faire leadership. Laissez-faire means hands-off. The leader delegates decisions to the group, provides what they need, and steps back. This works when you have competent, motivated people who don't need close supervision. Option A, autocratic, is the polar opposite. Close supervision and unilateral decisions would stifle creative professionals. Option C, controlling leadership, enforces rules and doesn't permit deviation, which contradicts empowerment. Option D, status quo leadership, focuses on maintaining balance and compromise rather than empowering independence. Here's a WGU D072 OA exam tip for you. When you see provides resources plus empowers independence plus highly skilled team, that's laissez-faire. It only works with capable, self-motivated people. Quick recall hook: resources given, you decide =, laissez-faire. 24. A technology company CEO focuses intensely on business objectives, maintains tight control over operations, and motivates employees primarily through competitive compensation and performance-based rewards rather than inspiring shared vision. Which leadership theory best describes this approach? A. Transformational leadership theory. B. situational leadership theory. C. Transactional leadership theory. D. Servant leadership theory. What do you think is the answer? Correct answer, C. Transactional leadership theory. Explanation. Option C is correct because transactional leadership assumes leader and follower desires differ, requiring extrinsic motivation like competitive rewards while maintaining tight control over business objectives. Option A is incorrect because transformational leadership focuses on changing follower desires to match the leader's vision rather than providing external compensation and rewards for compliance. Option B is incorrect because situational leadership adapts style based on circumstances and follower readiness rather than consistently using reward-based motivation across all situations. Option D is incorrect because servant leadership prioritizes serving followers' needs and development rather than maintaining tight control and using competitive compensation as primary motivators. A CEO focuses intensely on business objectives, maintains tight control over operations, and motivates employees primarily through competitive compensation and performance-based rewards. No inspiring vision, just rewards for results. This is transactional leadership. Transactional leadership assumes that leader and follower desires differ. The leader gets compliance through extrinsic motivation, pay, bonuses, rewards. It's a transaction. You perform, you get paid. Option A, transformational, works differently. It changes follower desires to match the leader's vision rather than using external rewards. Option B, situational, adapts style based on circumstances rather than consistently using reward-based motivation. Option D, servant leadership, prioritizes serving followers' needs rather than maintaining tight control. Here's a WGU D072 OA exam tip for you. When motivation comes from rewards, compensation, and performance incentives rather than vision, that's transactional. Think exchange, work for pay, quick recall hook. You perform, you get paid, = transactional. 25. A new team has members with low experience and limited confidence in completing their assigned tasks. According to situational leadership theory, the leader should provide clear direction and closely monitor progress. Which leadership approach is most appropriate for this team's maturity level? A. Delegating approach. B. Participating approach. C. Selling approach. D. Telling approach. What do you think is the answer? Correct answer, D. Telling approach. Explanation. Option D is correct because the telling approach is directive and authoritative, where the leader makes decisions and tells employees what to do, appropriate for followers with low competence. Option A is incorrect because delegating assigns decision-making responsibility to team members, which is inappropriate when team members lack experience and confidence in their abilities. Option B is incorrect because participating involves working with team members to make decisions together, requiring competence levels that this inexperienced team does not yet possess. Option C is incorrect because selling still involves communicating and persuading rather than directing, which may be insufficient for team members who need clear guidance due to low confidence. A new team has low experience and limited confidence. According to situational leadership theory, what approach works best? The telling approach. The telling approach is directive and authoritative. The leader makes decisions and tells employees what to do. It's appropriate when followers have low competence and need clear guidance. Option A, delegating, assigns decision-making to team members, which is wrong for inexperienced people who lack confidence. Option B, participating, involves making decisions together, but that requires more competence than this team has. Option C, selling, involves communicating and persuading, but inexperienced, low-confidence employees need direct instruction first, not persuasion. Here's a WGU D072 OA exam tip for you. Low experience plus low confidence equals telling. As competence grows, you move through selling, participating, then delegating. Quick recall hook. New team, low confidence, equal sign. Tell them what to do. 26. A department manager spends significant time gathering sales data, analysing market trends, and then distributing relevant findings to both executives and team members throughout the organisation. According to Mintzberg's research on managerial work, which core role does this manager primarily fulfill? A. Decisional role functions. B. Interpersonal role functions. C. Technical role functions. D. Informational role functions. Do you know the answer? Correct answer, D. Informational role functions. Explanation. Option D is correct because informational roles involve managers spending much of their time gathering, analysing, and disseminating information to those both above and below them in organisations. Option A is incorrect because decisional roles focus on making decisions, allocating resources and negotiating, rather than the gathering and distribution of information to others. Option B is incorrect because interpersonal roles focus on relationship building, communication, and acting as role models rather than analysing and distributing organisational data. Option C is incorrect because technical role is not one of Mintzberg's 3 core managerial roles, which are interpersonal, informational, and decisional functions. A department manager spends significant time gathering sales data, analysing market trends, and distributing relevant findings to executives and team members throughout the organisation. According to Mintzberg's research, which role is this? Informational role functions. Mintzberg identified 3 core managerial roles: interpersonal, informational, and decisional. Informational roles involve gathering, analysing, and disseminating information to people above and below you in the organisation. That's exactly what this manager does. Option A, decisional roles, focus on making decisions, allocating resources, and negotiating, not information distribution. Option B, interpersonal roles, focus on relationship building and acting as role models. Option C, technical role, isn't even one of Mintzberg's 3 categories. Here's a WGU D072 OA exam tip for you. Gathering data plus analysing it plus sharing it with others equals informational role. Think of the manager as an information hub. Quick recall hook. Gather, analyse, share informational. 27. A floor supervisor at a manufacturing plant directly oversees production workers, ensures daily tasks are completed, and reports to the plant manager above them in the organisational hierarchy. At which level of management does this supervisor operate? A. Top management level. B. Middle management level. C. Frontline management level. D. Executive management level. Can you guess the answer? Correct answer, C. Frontline management level. Explanation. Option C is correct because first or frontline managers include floor supervisors, foremen, and office managers who directly oversee workers and report to middle management. Option A is incorrect because top management includes roles such as president, CEO, and executive vice presidents who set overall organisational direction and strategy. Option B is incorrect because middle management includes positions such as plant, division, or department managers who oversee frontline managers rather than production workers directly. Option D is incorrect because executive management is another term for top management, not the supervisory level that directly manages daily worker activities. A floor supervisor at a manufacturing plant directly oversees production workers, ensures daily tasks are completed, and reports to the plant manager. What level of management is this? Frontline management. Frontline managers, also called first-line managers, include floor supervisors, foremen, and office managers. They directly oversee workers and report to middle management. Option A, top management, includes presidents, CEOs, and executive vice presidents who set organizational strategy. Option B, middle management, includes plant managers, division managers, and department managers who oversee frontline managers. Option D, executive management, is another term for top management. Here's a WGU D072 OA exam tip for you. If a manager directly supervises workers and reports to someone above them, that's frontline. They're the first line of management contact for employees. Quick recall, hook, directly supervises workers, =frontline. 28. An employee without any formal management title consistently motivates colleagues, influences team decisions through personal conviction, and inspires others to pursue organizational goals through their charisma and expertise. What type of leader does this employee represent? A. Formal leader with positional authority. B. Informal leader without positional authority. C. Middle manager with departmental control. D. Executive leader with strategic power. Can you guess the answer? Correct answer. B. Informal leader without positional authority. Explanation. Option B is correct because informal leaders do not have recognized positions of authority, but influence people within their reach through the strength of conviction and charisma. Option A is incorrect because formal leaders come from positions of authority built into the organizational structure and use power inherent to their assigned positions. Option C is incorrect because middle managers hold formal positions with departmental authority, unlike this employee who influences without any management title. Option D is incorrect because executive leaders occupy top management positions with strategic power, which contradicts the description of an employee without formal title. An employee without any formal management title consistently motivates colleagues, influences team decisions through personal conviction, and inspires others through charisma and expertise. What type of leader is this? An informal leader without positional authority? Informal leaders don't have recognized positions of authority. They influence people through conviction, charisma, and expertise, not because an org chart says they should. Option A, formal leader, comes from positions built into the organizational structure. This employee has no title. Option C, middle manager, holds formal positions with departmental authority. Again, not applicable here. Option D, executive leader, occupies top management positions, which clearly doesn't fit someone without a title. Here's a WGU D072 OA exam tip for you. No formal title plus still influences others, plus charisma and expertise = informal leader. Authority comes from the person, not the position. Quick recall hook. No title, still leads = informal leader. 29. A project manager must understand how different departments work together, visualize how changes in one area affect the entire organization, and comprehend abstract concepts to improve overall organizational performance. Which management skill category does this require? A. Technical skills category. B. Communication skills category. C. Analytical skills category. D. Operational skills category. Can you guess the answer? Correct answer, C. Analytical skills category. Explanation. Option C is correct because analytical skills involve comprehending, visualizing, and analyzing abstract knowledge, seeing the organization as a whole, and understanding how various functions interrelate. Option A is incorrect because technical skills involve grasping tools, procedures, and techniques specific to a department rather than understanding organization-wide abstract relationships. Option B is incorrect because communication skills focus on listening, understanding employee issues, establishing relationships, and handling conflicts rather than organizational visualization. Option D is incorrect because operational skills is not one of the three major management skill categories identified, which are technical, communication, and analytical abilities. A project manager must understand how different departments work together, visualize how changes in one area affect the entire organization, and comprehend abstract concepts to improve performance. Which management skill is this? Analytical skills. Analytical skills involve comprehending and visualizing abstract knowledge, seeing the organization as a whole, and understanding how various functions interrelate. It's the big picture view. Option A, technical skills, involve tools, procedures, and techniques specific to a department, not organization-wide understanding. Option B, communication skills, focus on listening, relationships, and handling conflicts rather than organizational visualization. Option D, operational skills, isn't even one of the three major management skill categories. The three are technical, communication, and analytical. Here's a WGU D072 OA exam tip for you. When a question mentions understanding how departments connect, big picture thinking, or abstract organizational concepts, that's analytical skills. Quick recall hook. Big picture, parts connect, =analytical. 30. Research indicates that managers focus on creating circles of power through their formal positions, while leaders focus on creating circles of influence through relationships and inspiration. What does this distinction suggest about effective organizational leadership? A. Managers cannot also be leaders. B. Leadership requires management positions. C. Power and influence are identical concepts. D. Good leaders may exist outside management roles. Can you guess the answer? Correct answer. D. Good leaders may exist outside management roles. Explanation. Option D is correct because good leaders are not necessarily in management positions, but can still function as effective leaders in organizations by influencing and inspiring others. Option A is incorrect because managers can also be good leaders when they combine their formal authority with the ability to influence and inspire their employees. Option B is incorrect because leadership refers to influencing others towards goals, which can occur regardless of whether someone holds a formal management position. Option C is incorrect because power and influence are distinct concepts, with managers using positional power while leaders develop influence through relationships and inspiration. Research shows managers focus on creating circles of power through formal positions, while leaders focus on creating circles of influence through relationships and inspiration. What does this suggest? Good leaders may exist outside management roles. Leadership is about influencing others toward goals. That can happen regardless of your title. You don't need a management position to lead. Option A says managers cannot also be leaders, which is too extreme. Managers can combine formal authority with influence and be excellent leaders. Option B claims leadership requires management positions, which contradicts the entire point. Option C suggests power and influence are identical, but they're distinct. Managers use positional power while leaders develop influence through relationships. Here's a WGU D072 OA exam tip for you. When a question distinguishes between power from position and influence from relationships, remember that leadership can exist without formal authority. Quick recall hook. Influence without title =sign leadership. 31. A newly appointed department director can make decisions about employee work assignments, approve budgets, and set policies for their area because of their official organizational position. Which base of power does this director primarily exercise? A. Expert power base. B. Referent power base. C. Legitimate power base. D. Information power base. What do you think is the answer? Correct answer, C. Legitimate power base. Explanation. Option C is correct because legitimate power comes from one's organizational role or position and is usually given by election, appointment, or hiring, with followers recognizing this authority. Option A is incorrect because expert power is based on special knowledge, skills, or experience, rather than the formal authority that comes from an organizational position. Option B is incorrect, because referent power comes from being trusted and respected personally rather than from the authority inherent in an assigned organizational role. Option D is incorrect because information power stems from possessing knowledge that others need, not from the formal authority granted through organizational appointment. A newly appointed department director can make decisions about work assignments, approve budgets and set policies because of their official organizational position. Which power base is this? Legitimate power. Legitimate power comes from your organizational role or position. It's given by election, appointment, or hiring, and followers recognize this authority because the organization says so. Option A, expert power, is based on knowledge and skills, not position. Option B, referent power, comes from being trusted and respected personally, not from your job title. Option D, information power, stems from possessing knowledge others need, which is different from positional authority. Here's a WGU D072 OA exam tip for you. When authority comes from the job title or organizational position, that's legitimate power. The org chart grants it. Quick recall hook. Title grants authority, =sign legitimate power. 32. A senior software engineer is consulted by executives on all major technology decisions because of their deep technical knowledge and specialized programming experience that no one else in the company possesses. What type of power does this engineer hold? A, legitimate power from position. B, coercive power from authority. C, reward power from resources. D, expert power from knowledge. Do you know the answer? Correct answer. D, expert power from knowledge. Explanation. Option D is correct because expert power is based on knowledge and special skill or experience, which is why this engineer is consulted due to their deep technical expertise. Option A is incorrect because legitimate power comes from organizational role or position, not from technical knowledge or specialized experience that others value. Option B is incorrect because coercive power involves the ability to punish or take something away for non-compliance rather than being sought out for expertise. Option C is incorrect because reward power involves granting rewards in exchange for performance, not being consulted because of valuable specialized knowledge. A senior software engineer is consulted by executives on all major technology decisions because of their deep technical knowledge and specialized programming experience that no one else in the company possesses. What type of power is this? Expert power. Expert power is based on knowledge, special skills, or experience. This engineer has expertise no one else has, so executives seek their input. The power comes from what they know, not where they sit in the org chart. Option A, legitimate power, comes from organizational role, but executives consulting an engineer isn't about title. Option B, coercive power, involves punishment for non-compliance. Completely irrelevant here. Option C, reward power, involves granting rewards for performance, not being sought out for expertise. Here's a WGU D072 OA exam tip for you. When someone is consulted because of specialized knowledge or skills others don't have, that's expert power. Knowledge is the source. Quick recall hook. Unique knowledge =sign expert power. 33. A human resources specialist has developed a reputation throughout the organization for handling personal issues with complete fairness and treating all employees with dignity and respect. Colleagues frequently seek their advice on workplace matters. Which power base has this specialist developed? A, coercive power through punishment. B, referent power through trust. C, legitimate power through position. D, reward power through incentives. What do you think is the answer? Correct answer, B, referent power through trust. Explanation. Option B is correct because referent power comes from being trusted and respected, which this HR specialist has earned by handling issues fairly and treating employees with dignity. Option A is incorrect because coercive power involves the ability to punish non-compliance, which is unrelated to building trust through fair treatment and respectful interactions. Option C is incorrect because legitimate power derives from formal organisational position rather than from personal reputation for fairness developed through consistent behaviour. Option D is incorrect because reward power involves granting rewards for performance, not earning trust and respect through fair handling of personnel issues. A human resources specialist has built a reputation for handling personnel issues with complete fairness and treating all employees with dignity and respect. Colleagues frequently seek their advice on workplace matters. Which power base is this? Referent power through trust. Referent power comes from being trusted and respected. This HR specialist earned it by consistently treating people fairly and with dignity, not from their title, not from their knowledge, but from who they are as a person. Option A, coercive power, involves punishment. Nothing to do with trust building. Option C, legitimate power, derives from formal organisational position, not from personal reputation. Option D, reward power, involves granting rewards, not earning trust through consistent fair behaviour. Here's a WGU D072 OA exam tip for you. When people seek someone out because they're trusted and respected as a person, that's referent power. It's about character, not position. Quick recall hook. Trusted and respected == referent power. 34. During a budget meeting, a manager presents detailed financial projections, market research data, and logical arguments demonstrating why their department should receive additional funding for a new initiative. Which influence tactic is this manager employing? A. Coercive pressure tactic. B. Inspirational appeals tactic. C. Rational persuasion tactic. D. Legitimate authority tactic. What do you think is the answer? Correct answer, C. Rational persuasion tactic. Explanation. Option C is correct because rational persuasion is the most frequently used influence tactic, involving facts, data, and rational arguments to persuade others that one alternative is best. Option A is incorrect because coercive pressure involves threatening consequences for non-compliance rather than presenting logical arguments supported by data and research. Option B is incorrect because inspirational appeals engage values, emotions, and beliefs to gain support, rather than relying on facts and rational arguments. Option D is incorrect because legitimate authority involves using positional power rather than persuading through data, projections, and logical reasoning about alternatives. During a budget meeting, a manager presents detailed financial projections, market research data, and logical arguments demonstrating why their department should receive additional funding. Which influence tactic is this? Rational persuasion. Rational persuasion is the most frequently used influence tactic. It involves using facts, data, and rational arguments to persuade others that one alternative is best. No threats, no emotional appeals, just logic and evidence. Option A, coercive pressure, involves threatening consequences for non-compliance, not presenting data. Option B, inspirational appeals, engage values and emotions rather than relying on facts. Option D, legitimate authority, involves using positional power, not persuading through logical reasoning. Here's a WGU D072 OA exam tip for you. Data, facts, logical arguments, evidence. That's rational persuasion. It's the most common influence tactic for a reason. It works. Quick recall hook. Facts and logic == rational persuasion. 35. Research shows that employees demonstrate greater engagement and devotion to organisations when they associate leadership's power with expert or referent power rather than formal positional power alone. What does this finding suggest about effective organisational influence? A. Formal authority is unnecessary for organisations. B. Personal power generates more commitment than position. C. Coercive power is most effective for engagement. D. Rewards are the primary driver of devotion. What do you think is the answer? Correct answer. B. Personal power generates more commitment than position. Explanation. Option B is correct because research indicates more respect is given to those with personal power than those with formal power, and expert or referent power increases employee engagement. Option A is incorrect because formal authority remains important for organisational structure, though personal power generates stronger emotional commitment from employees. Option C is incorrect because coercive power, which involves punishment, actually decreases engagement rather than building the devotion associated with expert and referent power. Option D is incorrect because the research specifically identifies expert and referent power, not rewards, as the power bases that increase employee engagement and devotion. Research shows employees demonstrate greater engagement and devotion when they associate leadership's power with expert or referent power rather than formal positional power alone. What does this suggest? Personal power generates more commitment than position. Research indicates people give more respect to those with personal power, expertise, and trust than those who rely only on formal authority. Expert and referent power increase engagement. Positional power alone doesn't inspire devotion. Option A says formal authority is unnecessary, which goes too far. Formal authority still matters for organisational structure. Option C claims coercive power is most effective, but punishment actually decreases engagement. Option D suggests rewards are the primary driver, but the research specifically identifies expert and referent power, not rewards. Here's a WGU D072 OA exam tip for you. Expert power plus referent power equals engagement. Personal power beats positional power for building commitment. Quick recall hook. Personal power = real commitment. 36. A technology startup emphasizes flexibility, creativity, and rapid response to market changes. The workplace is dynamic and entrepreneurial, with employees encouraged to take risks and innovate constantly. According to the Competing Values Framework, which culture type does this organization represent? A. Hierarchy culture type. B. Market culture type. C. Clan culture type. D. Adhocracy culture type. Can you guess the answer? Correct answer, D. Adhocracy culture type. Explanation. Option D is correct because adhocracy cultures tend to be flexible, responsive to external forces, and characterized as dynamic, entrepreneurial, and creative workplaces like technology businesses. Option A is incorrect because hierarchy cultures are internally focused on processes and procedures and less flexible, which contradicts the dynamic and creative environment described. Option B is incorrect because market cultures are externally focused on competition and profits but less flexible, unlike the risk-taking entrepreneurial startup environment described. Option C is incorrect because clan cultures are more family-oriented and flexible, but focus on internal relationships rather than the external market responsiveness of this startup. A technology startup emphasizes flexibility, creativity, and rapid response to market changes. The workplace is dynamic and entrepreneurial, with employees encouraged to take risks and innovate constantly. According to the Competing Values Framework, which culture type is this? Adhocracy culture. Adhocracy cultures are flexible, responsive to external forces, and characterized as dynamic, entrepreneurial, and creative. Tech startups that encourage risk-taking and constant innovation fit this description perfectly. Option A, hierarchy culture, is internally focused on processes and procedures, the opposite of flexible and creative. Option B, market culture, is externally focused but less flexible, emphasizing competition and profits over creativity. Option C, clan culture, is flexible but focused on internal relationships rather than external market responsiveness, Here's a WGU D072 OA exam tip for you. Flexible plus creative plus external focus plus entrepreneurial equals adhocracy. Think tech startups and innovation hubs. Quick recall hook. Creative risk takers =sign adhocracy. 37. A government regulatory agency operates with strict adherence to established procedures, clear chains of command, and detailed documentation requirements. The focus is on internal processes and maintaining stability rather than external market conditions. Which CVF culture type best describes this agency? A. Adhocracy culture orientation. B. Clan culture orientation. C. Hierarchy culture orientation. D. Market culture orientation. What do you think is the answer? Correct answer, C. Hierarchy culture orientation. Explanation. Option C is correct because hierarchy cultures tend to be internally focused on processes and procedures and less flexible, which characterizes government agencies with strict procedural requirements. Option A is incorrect because adhocracy cultures emphasize flexibility, creativity, and responsiveness to external forces rather than strict adherence to established internal procedures. Option B is incorrect because clan cultures are family-oriented and focus on interpersonal relationships rather than strict procedural compliance and documentation requirements. Option D is incorrect because market cultures focus externally on competition and profits rather than internal processes and procedural stability, as described in this agency. A government regulatory agency operates with strict adherence to established procedures, clear chains of command, and detailed documentation requirements. The focus is on internal processes and maintaining stability rather than external market conditions. Which CVF culture type is this? Hierarchy culture. Hierarchy cultures are internally focused on processes and procedures. They're characterized by clear chains of command, strict adherence to rules, and stability. Government agencies with detailed documentation requirements are textbook examples. Option A, adhocracy, emphasizes flexibility and creativity, the opposite of strict procedures. Option B, clan culture, is flexible and relationship-focused rather than procedure-focused. Option D, market culture, focuses externally on competition rather than internal processes. Here's a WGU D072 OA exam tip for you. Strict procedures plus clear chain of command plus internal focus plus stability equals hierarchy. Think government agencies and traditional bureaucracies. Quick recall hook. Rules and procedures =sign hierarchy. 38. A consulting firm uses fluid team structures, broad spans of control, and cross-functional collaboration to respond quickly to diverse client needs in a constantly changing business environment. Which organizational structure classification best fits this firm? A. Mechanistic organizational structure. B. Organic organizational structure. C. Hierarchical organizational structure. D. Bureaucratic organizational structure. What do you think is the answer? Correct answer, B. Organic organizational structure. Explanation. Option B is correct because organic structures are characterized by fluidity and wider spans of control, working best in unstable, complex, and changing environments. Option A is incorrect because mechanistic structures utilize traditional top-down hierarchy and rigid departmentalization suited to stable environments rather than changing conditions. Option C is incorrect because hierarchical structures emphasize clear chains of command and formal authority rather than the fluid, cross-functional collaboration described in this firm. Option D is incorrect because bureaucratic structures feature rigid rules and procedures rather than the flexible, team-based approach needed for diverse client needs. A consulting firm uses fluid team structures, broad spans of control, and cross-functional collaboration to respond quickly to diverse client needs in a constantly changing business environment. Which organizational structure is this? Organic organizational structure. Organic structures are characterized by fluidity and wider spans of control. They work best in unstable, complex, and changing environments where flexibility matters more than rigid hierarchy. Option A, mechanistic structure, uses traditional top-down hierarchy and rigid departmentalization, suited to stable environments, not changing ones. Option C, hierarchical structure, emphasizes clear chains of command rather than fluid cross-functional teams. Option D, bureaucratic structure, features rigid rules and procedures rather than the flexible approach needed for diverse client needs. Here's a WGU D072 OA exam tip for you. Fluid plus flexible plus cross-functional plus changing environment equals organic. Mechanistic is rigid, organic is adaptable. Quick recall hook, flexible and fluid equals sign organic. 39. An employee who values competitive individual achievement joins a company that emphasizes teamwork and collective success. Over time, this employee becomes increasingly dissatisfied and eventually leaves the organization. Which component of the attraction, selection, attrition model does this departure represent? A. Attraction phase of the model. B. Selection phase of the model. C. Retention phase of the model. D. Attrition phase of the model. What do you think is the answer? Correct answer, D. Attrition phase of the model. Explanation. Option D is correct because attrition occurs when those who do not fit in well with organizational culture are more likely to leave over time due to person-organization misfit. Option A is incorrect because attraction refers to individuals being drawn to organizations similar to themselves in values, which describes initial interest rather than departure. Option B is incorrect because selection refers to organizations choosing candidates with values similar to existing members rather than employees leaving due to misfit. Option C is incorrect because retention is not one of the three components of the ASA model, which specifically includes attraction, selection, and attrition phases. An employee who values competitive individual achievement joins a company that emphasizes teamwork and collective success. Over time, this employee becomes increasingly dissatisfied and eventually leaves the organization. Which component of the attraction, selection, attrition model does this departure represent? The attrition phase. The ASA model has three phases: attraction, selection, and attrition. Attrition occurs when those who don't fit well with organizational culture are more likely to leave over time due to person-organization misfit. This employee's values clashed with the company culture, so they left. Option A, attraction, refers to being drawn to similar organizations. That's the beginning, not the end. Option B, selection, refers to organizations choosing candidates, not employees leaving. Option C, retention, isn't even one of the three components of the ASA model. Here's a WGU D072 OA exam tip for you. Values don't match plus leaves over time equals attrition. The ASA model ends with attrition when fit fails. Quick recall hook. Doesn't fit. Leaves equals sign attrition. 40. A job candidate who values innovation and creative freedom interviews at a company known for its entrepreneurial culture and encouragement of new ideas. According to the attraction, selection, attrition model, what explains this candidate's interest in this particular organization? A. The candidate seeks higher compensation. B. The candidate is attracted to similar values. C. The candidate was randomly assigned. D. The candidate has no other options. What do you think is the answer? Correct answer, B. The candidate is attracted to similar values. Explanation. Option B is correct because attraction in the ASA model means individuals are drawn to organizations that are like themselves in terms of personality and values. Option A is incorrect because the ASA model specifically identifies value alignment rather than compensation as the primary driver of attraction between candidates and organizations. Option C is incorrect because attraction is an active process driven by value similarity, not random assignment of candidates to organizations seeking employees. Option D is incorrect because the model suggests candidates actively seek organizations matching their values rather than applying only when lacking alternatives. A job candidate who values innovation and creative freedom interviews at a company known for its entrepreneurial culture and encouragement of new ideas, according to the attraction selection attrition model. What explains this candidate's interest? The candidate is attracted to similar values. The attraction phase of the ASA model explains that individuals are drawn to organizations that are like themselves in terms of personality and values. This candidate values innovation. The company encourages new ideas. They're attracted to each other because of value alignment. Option A claims the candidate seeks higher compensation, but the ASA model specifically identifies value alignment, not pay, as the primary driver. Option C suggests random assignment, but attraction is an active process driven by value similarity. Option D says the candidate has no other options, which contradicts the model's premise of active value-based attraction. Here's a WGU D072 OA exam tip for you. When values match and someone is drawn to an organisation, that's the attraction phase, like attracts like. Quick recall hook, similar values drawn in equal sign attraction. 41. A manager needs to deliver sensitive feedback about performance issues to an employee and wants to observe non-verbal reactions, allow immediate questions, and build rapport during the conversation. Which communication channel would be most appropriate? A. Email message exchange. B. Text message notification. C. Face-to-face meeting. D. Written memorandum. What do you think is the answer? Correct answer, C. Face-to-face meeting. Explanation. Option C is correct because face-to-face meetings are the richest communication channel, providing personal interactive exchange and allowing both parties to read non-verbal messages. Option A is incorrect because email is among the leanest communication channels, lacking the ability to observe non-verbal reactions or enable immediate interactive dialogue. Option B is incorrect because text messages are instantaneous, but lean channels that cannot convey non-verbal cues or support the rapport building needed for sensitive conversations. Option D is incorrect because written memorandums present information without allowing immediate interaction and cannot convey or receive non-verbal communication signals. A manager needs to deliver sensitive feedback about performance issues. They want to observe non-verbal reactions, allow immediate questions, and build rapport. Which communication channel works best? Face-to-face meeting. Face-to-face meetings are the richest communication channel. You get personal interactive exchange, you can read body language, and the other person can ask questions immediately. For sensitive conversations, nothing beats being in the same room. Option A, email, is among the leanest channels. No non-verbal cues, no immediate back and forth. Option B, text messages, are instant but lean. You can't build rapport or read reactions through text. Option D, written memorandums, present information one way with no interaction and zero non-verbal communication. Here's a WGU D072 OA exam tip for you. Sensitive feedback plus non-verbal observation plus rapport building equals face-to-face. Rich channels for rich conversations. Quick recall hook. Sensitive topic equals sign face-to-face. 42. A company needs to distribute a policy update to all employees simultaneously, and the information is straightforward factual content that does not require discussion or immediate feedback from recipients. Which communication channel classification would be most efficient? A. Richest communication channel. B. Interactive communication channel. C. Leanest communication channel. D. Verbal communication channel. Do you know the answer? Correct answer, C. Leanest communication channel. Explanation. Option C is correct because leanest channels like email or newsletters present information without requiring immediate interaction and efficiently convey straightforward factual content to many recipients. Option A is incorrect because richest channels like face-to-face meetings are unnecessary for distributing factual policy updates that do not require discussion or interaction. Option B is incorrect because interactive channels would be inefficient for one-way distribution of straightforward information to all employees simultaneously. Option D is incorrect because verbal channels are not a classification in the rich to lean scale, and verbal face-to-face communication would be impractical for company-wide distribution. A company needs to distribute a policy update to all employees simultaneously. The information is straightforward facts that don't require discussion or feedback. Which channel classification is most efficient? Leanest communication channel. Lean channels like email or newsletters work perfectly for one-way distribution of factual content to many people. No need for interaction when you're just pushing out policy updates. Option A, richest channels would be overkill. You don't need face-to-face meetings to announce a policy update. Option B, interactive channels are inefficient when you just need to broadcast information without discussion. Option D, verbal channels, isn't even a classification on the rich to lean scale, and verbal communication would be impractical for company-wide distribution. Here's a WGU D072 OA exam tip for you. Straightforward facts plus mass distribution plus no feedback needed equals lean channels. Save rich channels for complex conversations. Quick recall hook, simple facts to everyone. = lean channel. 43. Research indicates that a significant majority of organizational practices, policies, and procedures are actually shared through informal conversations and social networks among employees rather than official channels. What percentage of organizational information flows through grapevine communication? A. 25% of information. B. 50% of information. C. 75% of information. D. 90% of information. What do you think is the answer? Correct answer, C. 75% of information. Explanation. Option C is correct because research shows that 75% of all organizations' practices, policies, and procedures are shared through informal grapevine communication networks. Option A is incorrect because 25% significantly underestimates the actual proportion of organizational information that flows through informal communication channels. Option B is incorrect because 50% is lower than the research finding that 3/4 of organizational information travels through informal grapevine networks. Option D is incorrect because 90% overestimates the proportion, as some organizational information does flow through formal communication channels and official announcements. Here's a statistic you need to memorize. Research shows that a significant majority of organizational practices, policies, and procedures are shared through informal conversations and social networks rather than official channels. What percentage flows through grapevine communication? 75%. That's right, 3/4 of all organizational information travels through the grapevine. Informal networks are powerful. Option A, 25%, significantly underestimates the real number. Option B, 50%, is still too low. The research says 3/4. Option D, 90%, overestimates it. Some information does flow through formal channels and official announcements. Here's a WGU D072 OA exam tip for you. Remember 75% for grapevine communication. 3/4 of organizational info travels informally. Quick recall hook. Grapevine = 75%. 44. When communicating in a professional business context, individuals must make efforts to be clear, concise, relevant, and objective because their audience is diverse and may not share personal background knowledge. What distinguishes professional communication from personal communication? A. Professional communication uses informal language. B. Professional communication requires greater clarity. C. Professional communication has smaller audiences. D. Professional communication lacks any structure. What do you think is the answer? Correct answer. B. Professional communication requires greater clarity. Explanation. Option B is correct because professional communication is read by audiences you do not know well, requiring effort to be clear, concise, relevant, and objective for diverse recipients. Option A is incorrect because personal communication typically uses relaxed, informal language, while professional communication requires more formal and structured approaches. Option C is incorrect because professional communication often reaches larger, more diverse audiences rather than the single audience typical of personal communications. Option D is incorrect because professional communication requires more structure and attention to clarity, not less, to effectively reach diverse audiences. When communicating professionally, you must be clear, concise, relevant, and objective because your audience is diverse and doesn't share your personal background knowledge. What distinguishes professional communication from personal communication? Professional communication requires greater clarity. Professional audiences don't know you well. They come from different backgrounds, have different contexts, and can't fill in gaps the way a friend would. You have to work harder to be understood. Option A claims professional communication uses informal language, but it's the opposite. Personal communication is informal, professional is structured. Option C says professional has smaller audiences, but professional communication often reaches larger, more diverse groups. Option D suggests professional lacks structure, which contradicts reality. Professional communication needs more structure, not less. Here's a WGU D072 OA exam tip for you. Diverse audience plus unknown backgrounds equals need for greater clarity. Professional communication works harder to be understood. Quick recall hook. Don't know your audience =, be crystal clear. 45. An employee's body language during a presentation conveys nervousness through fidgeting and avoiding eye contact, even though their spoken words express confidence about the project's success. What communication principle does this scenario illustrate? A. Verbal and non-verbal messages always align. B. Non-verbal cues can contradict verbal messages. C. Written communication is more reliable. D. Body language has no communication value. Do you know the answer? Correct answer. B. Non-verbal cues can contradict verbal messages. Explanation. Option B is correct because non-verbal communication conveys additional conscious or unconscious messages that may differ from spoken words, as this employee's nervousness contradicts their verbal confidence. Option A is incorrect because this scenario specifically demonstrates that verbal and non-verbal messages can conflict, showing they do not always align in communication. Option C is incorrect because the scenario compares verbal and non-verbal communication in oral presentations rather than suggesting written communication has greater reliability. Option D is incorrect because the scenario demonstrates that body language communicates significant information about emotional state, even when contradicting spoken words. An employee's body language during a presentation shows nervousness, fidgeting, avoiding eye contact, even though their words express confidence about the project's success. What communication principle does this illustrate? Non-verbal cues can contradict verbal messages. Your body communicates whether you want it to or not. This employee said confident words, but their body screamed nervousness. The audience receives both messages and has to decide which one to believe. Option A claims verbal and non-verbal messages always align, but this scenario directly disproves that. Option C suggests written communication is more reliable, which isn't relevant to comparing verbal and non-verbal signals. Option D says body language has no communication value, but the scenario proves body language communicates significant information about emotional state. Here's a WGU D072 OA exam tip for you. When words say one thing and body says another, that's verbal non-verbal contradiction. Bodies don't lie as easily as mouths do. Quick recall hook. Words versus body equal sign non-verbal contradiction. 46. A department within an organisation handles recruitment, negotiates salaries and benefits, mediates disputes between employees, conducts performance appraisals, and ensures compliance with labour laws and workplace safety standards. Which business function does this department represent? A. Marketing department function. B. Human resources department function. C. Information technology department function. D. Research and development function. Do you know the answer? Correct answer. B. Human resources department function. Explanation: option B is correct because human resources deals with recruitment, onboarding, payroll compensation, benefits, internal relations, performance appraisals, and labour law compliance. Option A is incorrect because marketing focuses on branding, advertising, audience targeting, and market positioning rather than employee relations and labour compliance. Option C is incorrect because information technology handles computer systems, network infrastructure, data processing, and software maintenance rather than personnel management. Option D is incorrect because research and development focuses on product improvement and new product development rather than employee recruitment and workplace relations. A department handles recruitment, negotiates salaries and benefits, mediates employee disputes, conducts performance appraisals, and ensures compliance with labour laws and workplace safety standards. Which business function is this? Human resources. HR handles everything related to employees, hiring them, paying them, resolving their conflicts, evaluating their performance, and making sure the company follows employment laws. If it involves people management, it's HR. Option A, marketing, focuses on branding, advertising, and market positioning, not employee relations. Option C, information technology, handles computer systems and data security, not personnel. Option D, research and development, focuses on product improvement, not workforce management. Here's a WGU D072 OA exam tip for you. Recruitment plus compensation plus employee relations plus labour compliance equals HR. If it's about managing people, that's human resources. Quick recall hook. People stuff =sign HR. 47. A team in an organisation oversees the installation of computer systems, maintains software licenses, provides hardware infrastructure, ensures data security, and supports day-to-day system functioning for all employees. Which business function does this team perform? A. Accounting and finance function. B. Human resources function. C. Marketing department function. D. Information technology function. What do you think is the answer? Correct answer. D. Information technology function. Explanation. Option D is correct because the IT department oversees computer system installation, software license compliance, hardware infrastructure, data security, and day-to-day system functioning. Option A is incorrect because accounting and finance handles accounts payable and receivable, payroll, financial reporting, and fiscal controls rather than technology infrastructure. Option B is incorrect because human resources manages employee-related issues like recruitment, compensation, and internal relations rather than computer systems and data security. Option C is incorrect because marketing handles branding, advertising, and customer outreach initiatives rather than technology infrastructure and system maintenance. A team oversees computer system installation, maintains software licenses, provides hardware infrastructure, ensures data security, and supports day-to-day system functioning for all employees. Which business function is this? Information technology. It handles everything technology related: computers, software, hardware, security, and keeping systems running. If it plugs in or requires a password, IT probably manages it. Option A, accounting and finance, handles money, accounts payable, payroll, financial reporting, not technology infrastructure. Option B, human resources, manages people, recruitment, compensation, employee relations, not computer systems. Option C, marketing, handles branding and customer outreach, not system maintenance. Here's a WGU D072 OA exam tip for you. Computer systems plus software plus hardware plus data security equals IT. If it's technology infrastructure, that's information technology. Quick recall hook, tech stuff equals sign it. 48. A company's marketing team collects extensive personal data from website visitors, uses targeted advertising based on user behavior, and develops messaging that may appeal to vulnerable populations. Which ethical concern area is most directly relevant to this department's activities? A. Fiscal transparency concerns. B. Product integrity concerns. C. Data collection and privacy concerns. D. Labour law compliance concerns. Can you guess the answer? Correct answer, C. Data collection and privacy concerns. Explanation: option C is correct because marketing ethical concerns specifically include data collection and privacy policies relating to user and customer information and audience targeting procedures. Option A is incorrect because fiscal transparency concerns relate to accounting and finance functions rather than marketing activities involving customer data collection. Option B is incorrect because product integrity concerns relate to research and development functions rather than marketing activities around data collection and targeting. Option D is incorrect because labour law compliance concerns relate to human resources functions rather than marketing activities involving customer data and advertising practices. A marketing team collects extensive personal data from website visitors, uses targeted advertising based on user behavior, and develops messaging that may appeal to vulnerable populations. Which ethical concern area is most relevant to this department? Data collection and privacy concerns. Marketing's ethical issues center on how they gather and use customer information. Collecting user data, tracking behavior, targeting ads. These all raise privacy questions. It's a marketing-specific ethical concern. Option A, fiscal transparency, relates to accounting and finance, not marketing activities. Option B, product integrity, relates to research and development, not data collection. Option D, labour law compliance, relates to human resources, not customer data practices. Here's a WGU D072 OA exam tip for you. Marketing plus customer data plus targeted advertising equals data and privacy concerns. Each department has its own ethical focus area. Quick recall hook, marketing ethics =, data privacy. 49. An organisation analyses its workflows, optimises procedures to align with strategic goals, automates repetitive tasks using technology tools, and standardizes decision-making processes across departments. What management approach does this represent? A. Relationship management approach. B. Business process management approach. C. Customer service management approach. D. Talent acquisition management approach. Can you guess the answer? Correct answer, B. Business process management approach. Explanation: option B is correct because business process management involves analysing, optimising, and monitoring business processes to improve performance, and often involves automating work through technology. Option A is incorrect because relationship management focuses on maintaining relationships with customers, businesses, and between employees rather than workflow optimization and automation. Option C is incorrect because customer service management focuses on customer interactions and satisfaction rather than internal workflow analysis and process standardization. Option D is incorrect because talent acquisition focuses on recruiting and hiring employees rather than analyzing and optimizing organizational workflows and procedures. An organization analyzes its workflows, optimizes procedures to align with strategic goals, automates repetitive tasks using technology, and standardizes decision-making processes across departments. What management approach is this? Business process management. BPM involves analyzing, optimizing, and monitoring business processes to improve performance. It often includes automating work through technology and standardizing how things get done across the organization. Option A, relationship management, focuses on maintaining relationships with customers and employees, not workflow optimization. Option C, customer service management, focuses on customer interactions, not internal process standardization. Option D, talent acquisition, focuses on recruiting employees, not analyzing and optimizing workflows. Here's a WGU D072 OA exam tip for you. Analyzing workflows plus optimizing procedures plus automating tasks equals business process management. It's about making processes work better. Quick recall hook. Optimize how work gets done =BPM. 50. When a federal court ordered a technology company to help investigators access encrypted data on a device, the company refused because compliance would require creating tools that could expose millions of customers to security risks. What ethical principle guided this organizational decision? A. Maximizing short-term profits. B. Complying with all government requests. C. Defending core customer privacy values. D. Avoiding all legal proceedings. What do you think is the answer? Correct answer, C. Defending core customer privacy values. Explanation. Option C is correct because the company took a stand for customer privacy as a core value, opposing court orders that would potentially expose millions of customers to unauthorized intrusions. Option A is incorrect because refusing the court order actually created legal costs and negative publicity, rather than maximizing short-term profits for the organization. Option B is incorrect because the company specifically chose not to comply with the government request, instead defending its core values around customer privacy protection. Option D is incorrect because refusing the order resulted in legal proceedings rather than avoiding them, showing the company prioritized values over avoiding legal conflict. A federal court ordered a technology company to help investigators access encrypted data on a device. The company refused because compliance would require creating tools that could expose millions of customers to security risks. What ethical principle guided this decision? Defending core customer privacy values. The company took a stand for customer privacy as a core value. They opposed a court order because they believed protecting millions of customers from potential security breaches was more important than complying with one legal request. Option A, maximizing short-term profits, doesn't fit because refusing the order actually created legal costs and negative publicity. Option B, complying with all government requests, is exactly what the company chose not to do. Option D, avoiding all legal proceedings, is wrong because their refusal resulted in legal conflict rather than avoiding it. Here's a WGU D072 OA exam tip for you. When a company refuses a legal order to protect customer security, that's defending core values. Values sometimes outweigh compliance. Quick recall hook. Customers over court order =, core values. You have reached the end of our first question set. For the free complete exam preparation, visit our website link in the description, where you find thousands more practice questions and comprehensive study guides. Thanks for studying with us today. See you in the next video.